UN Chief Antonio Guterres says Hamas massacre didn't happen in a vacuum.
Here's a summary of the article.
Israel's envoy to the United Nations on Tuesday lambasted the speech by the body's Secretary-General Antonio Guterres regarding the Hamas massacre. This post can't be displayed because social networks' cookies have been deactivated. It is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum, Guterres said. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economy stifled, their people displaced and their homes demolished. Their hopes for a political solution to their plight have been vanishing. Gilad Erdan wrote on his X account that, the shocking speech, given, while rockets are being fired at all of Israel, proved conclusively, beyond any doubt, that the Secretary-General is completely disconnected from the reality in our region and that he views the massacre committed by Nazi Hamas terrorists in a distorted and immoral manner. The October 7 massacre, where over 1,400 Israelis were butchered by Palestinian terrorists in horrific circumstances, represents the worst atrocity committed against the Jews since the Holocaust.
This post received a score of 9,800, with an upvote ratio of 86%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Credit to you, this website went down H. I just thought it deserves to be its own comment. Original comment. It is important to understand there is a difference between Palestinians and Hamas, they are not the same.
I can see wide-scale protests against Netanyahu, specifically his harsh politics. I cannot see much protests against Hamas. Why not?
Because Hamas is a terrorist organization that has instituted a tyranny in Gaza where public dissent is not possible. Hamas has murdered political opponents, and they're certainly not going to tolerate public dissent or public protests. That said, this doesn't mean that the widespread support of Hamas by Palestinians isn't also a problem, and the fact that people were celebrating in the streets of Gaza after the October 7 attacks and were cheering the murder of 1,400 civilians is testimony to that.
If Hamas is a terrorist organization like Al-Qaeda for instance, then who runs Palestine? Isn't it Hamas? Let's say the IDF wanted to discuss a ceasefire with Palestine. Who would they even talk to? Isn't it Hamas? Hamas doesn't sound like an underground organization that bombs targets in US and Europe but otherwise disappears. It's literally the ruling party in Gaza.
The fact that Hamas is running the Gaza Strip doesn't mean that they are not a terrorist organization. A terrorist organization does not need to be an underground organization to be a terrorist organization. ISIL governed a large part of Syria and Iraq for a pretty long time. They had a penal code, a school curriculum, a police force, a pretty informal taxation system. ISIL was the ruling organization in Raqqa and other cities for 4 years or more.
The discourse surrounding this entire situation further proves to me that we are doomed to never see one another as human beings.
Oh, we do. Humans are fucking dangerous, man.
Humans are idiots.
Don't forget Hamas had just agreed to ceasefire, peace with Israel just a few weeks before the massacres. Obviously, Hamas doesn't care about Gaza either.
It appears to have been planning this attack during said ceasefire.
But don't worry, I'm sure if Israel backs off and agrees to another ceasefire immediately, this won't happen again. This is why I always laugh at those ceasefire now signs. Like, how many times does this need to happen before you realize you need to just rip off the band-aid and take the whole organization down from the root? You can't keep letting this weed regrow.
Read the full article. Too many people here live in a fantasy world, not the real world. The point is not that Hamas is justifiable. It's when you put people under the condition that the Palestinian has been in for long enough. Eventually something like Hamas will be born from it. We are not all saints.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.